Of one the Lord has made the race, through one has come the fall. Where sin has gone must go His grace, the gospel is for all. The blessed gospel is for all, the gospel is for all. Where sin has gone must go His grace, the gospel is for all. Say not the heathen are at home, beyond we have no call. For why should we be blessed alone? The gospel is for all. The blessed gospel is for all. The gospel is for all. Where sin has gone must go His grace. The gospel is for all. Receive ye freely, freely give. From every land they call. Unless they hear, they cannot live. The gospel is for all. The blessed gospel is for all. The gospel is for all. Where sin has gone must go His grace. The gospel is for all.
Thank you. Well, good evening. I'm going to give you a test, if that's okay. My wife's a school teacher, so it runs in the family. But I've learned over the years of doing this that candy helps motivate. So, and I'm not kidding, if you adults like this just as much as kids. So if you get a right answer, you get a piece of candy. So here's the first question. How many countries are on this planet? You just get one guess. I mean, per person. How many countries? Some good stuff here. I need something specific for this. I got Mr. Goodbars, I got M&M's, Snickers, Hershey. Well, give me a guess. Give me a guess. Well, that's the best guess so far. So what do you think? 15? A lot more. Not that many.
30.
Who said 100? 150? 250? No. Who said 175? You're close. And the answer is 195. Ooh, I gotta walk. All right.
Oh, I get it.
You get not all of it, but
No, I don't want all of it.
no, but you want all. Here's now, and remember that number. There's a reason why I'm doing this. How many people live? Don't Google it. How many people live on this planet? It's in the billions, and you can't guess now. You're done. What do you think? The elder got it. It's 8 billion. Did you remember it? Well, speak up. Okay, well, you'll have more opportunities. 8 billion. Well, I want to show you a passage, and you've seen this passage all your life. This is the Great Commission, where Jesus said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. And surely I'm with you always to the very end of the age." This is our mission. My daddy was a preacher. My granddaddy was a preacher. Flavel Yeakley Sr. So, I've been, and I went to school. But like you, we have heard this. We know what it is. But how can we go make disciples? That's part of the reason I'm coming. Is that me? Okay. When Jesus had his apostles with him, he worked with them day and night. Okay. I thought I'm not really. He worked with them day and night over the years. And this is a good definition of discipleship. It's what he did with them. Here's I think a good scriptural definition. When he was recruiting Simon and Andrew, he said, "Come follow me," Jesus said, "and I will make you fishers of men." And once they left their nets and followed him. Now, if you break this down, I think you get three aspects of discipleship. Disciples of Jesus, and that's who we are people who are following Jesus, being changed by Jesus, and participating in the mission of Jesus. The thing we focus on is following him. If we're following him, he's going to change us. And if we're really following him, we're participating in his mission, which is go make disciples. And he said, go all over the world and make disciples. Here's another one of the Great Commission passages. And I like this because the emphasis here in Mark 16 is go into all the world, to all creation. How many of you been on a mission trip ever? Any kind of mission trip? Raise your hand. Okay. Has anybody ever, anybody been overseas or to a different country? Raise your hand. Okay, different country. And when you go to a different country, you see the uniqueness of our country and the new language. And I was in Germany, West Germany, when I was an Oklahoma Christian student, and 6-week campaigns. And in the middle of it, I just had this overwhelming sense I'm not at home anymore. It's a different culture. It's a wonderful culture, but to go into all the world where that's different languages, different customs, but that's what we need to do. So I want to tell you the story of Truth for Today and how this ministry began. This, as you probably know, is Eddie and Susan Clower. And back in the late 70s, Dr. Clower was still teaching at Harding. And some of his students, especially his preaching students, said, Dr. Clower, when we go out to preach, wherever we go, it would sure benefit us if you could send us material. I mean, keep sending us. All this class stuff is great, but it's not enough. So he thought, that's a good idea. So he started he called it a preacher's periodical. I don't know if you guys have any of these. I think the commentaries back there, but these come from the commentaries. It's just a shortened version of them. So he started sending these to the preachers. And it became so popular, he started sending them all over the world. Well, you have to have translators for that. You need to have good content. So we got eventually people to write commentaries. There's a lot more to this ministry that I'll kind of mention as we go, but that's the picture outside the front of Truth for Today World Mission School. And what started in the Clower's garage has expanded to where there's like 23, I think, employees in Searcy. There's like 30 employees all over the world, mainly translators. So this is, here's another candy question. So you have an opportunity, so get ready. What's the most populated country? And you two can't participate since you've already gotten candy. Do what? Are you sure? China. How many think it's China? Raise your hand. How many think it's India? Raise your hand. The answer is India. So you get to choose. All righty. See, don't take the whole thing. Just.
I see one down here I want to reach.
All right. Now, if you're really good back here, I'll get you one later. Okay. All right. What is your name, by the way?
Mimi.
Mimi.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, these are the languages that are spoken in India. I got to go to India a year ago in January to that southeastern, it says Telugu, right over here. And I'll show you some pictures, but a lot of people in India, a whole lot. In fact, there's 1.4 billion people in India. And how many people are in the world? 8 billion. So I don't know the percentage, but that's a lot of folks. I have such good memories of going to India that I Googled happy children picture from India. And that's what it came. And that reminds me of the children. I couldn't speak, and I still can't speak their language, but you can tell when you see kids like this, and you'll see some that of a picture I took, that they're good kids. They haven't been tainted by things on television and such. But as it stands now, and I'm going to show you this slide several times throughout this presentation because it's so important. As it stands now, 29% of the world will never learn about Jesus and never own a Bible. That's 2.32 billion people. How many Bibles do you have? Randy, how many do you have? Yeah, I mean, I've got them on my phone. You've got them at home. These are people who, in India, what's the dominant religion in India? Hindu. If you said Hindu, come see me later and I'll get you some candy. It is. And I'm going to show you some pictures in a minute of temples, but the people that I saw in India, most of them don't know anything about Jesus. You'll get a picture of it later, but as I walked around, as I was there in that country, I was thinking, these people don't know the story of how Jesus was born and how Jesus died on the cross for our sins and all those kind of things that we take for granted. They don't. So my encouragement is we need to do something about this. What about those, almost 30% of the world that doesn't know Jesus? Well, I want to tell you, and this fits with the Truth for Today presentation, but I'm going to get personal here. The place that we were going on this mission effort was Andhra Pradesh, and we were getting ready, really the last part of 2022. There was 3 of us going, and anyway, January the 5th through the 15th was this mission effort in India. Well, I found out on December the 28th, remember we're going on January the 5th, I found out on December the 28th that you have to have what's called a tourist visa. Well, I've got my regular passport, I guess that's a visa, but you have to have a permission to go into that country. I didn't know that, and this is just a few days before we were supposed to get on the plane in Little Rock, go to Chicago, to go to Abu Dhabi and all that. So anyway, this is a holiday weekend, and I didn't accurately apply, so over the weekend they don't pass them out. I think January the 2nd was that Monday, wasn't expecting anything. So I was praying hard, and I got this picture thinking, that was me praying hard, and other family members and people from church were praying that I'd get that, because if I didn't have it, you can't go into the country. And I was calling the guy that was kind of our lead mentor, a guy named Scott Harris. I said, Scott, I'm probably not going to get to go. We're leaving Thursday morning, and here it is Monday and Tuesday, and he didn't seem to be worried about it. My wife and I were very concerned, even worried. And Wednesday, I still didn't have the tourist visa. We were supposed to leave the next day, and I had been fasting and all the things that you need to do. Oh, by the way, the lessons I'd been preparing for 6 months to teach over in India were on prayer. Go figure. Anyway, Wednesday night I went to the church building, opened up my computer, and you can't see it because it's kind of far, but I got my visa. And I screamed. I was so excited. I really did. Went out in the foyer, told people, went back in my office, and I cried because I was so excited. I was happy. Now the preacher came in, took my picture, and anyway. Well, just to prove that I really did go to India, I want to show you some pictures. And these were the wonderful preachers, and some of them were elders that we taught, and they would come, and they don't have all the resources. I mean, look at the back of this auditorium. There's lots of resources. Most of them don't have that kind of resources and computers and internet and all that. So what we would teach them, they in turn would go and teach back home. And there's my translator. He's a preacher from about an hour and a half away where we were stationed, and wonderful guy. Anyway. Oh, and by the way, I've got 3 boys, all grown, 39, 32, and 29. The younger 2 are married. My oldest is not. And I was thinking, my wife is Shelley, and we named our sons Stuart, Stanton, and Sheldon. Anyway, so I was thinking, Stuart, he's not married. you need to come to India because they have arranged marriages in India. And some wonderful young ladies. Anyway, I didn't really share that with him, but there's some sweet people there. Anyway, here's Alan teaching. Oh, does anybody know what this is? Another opportunity for you. And for your name again is Mimi?
That's what my grandkids and great-grandkids
Oh, well, I'm young.
Ian.
Ian, okay. Okay. If you get this, I'll give you 3 pieces of candy. What is this called?
And I've heard that too, but I have no idea. I know they use it over
Yeah, it's kind of a taxi over there in India. Here, there are a few people or everybody on the street get on it. It's called an auto rickshaw. That's the way they get around. So when we rode there, our host would at night would take us out to these areas where Christians were sitting and singing, and here's some of the kids, and they just love to sing about Jesus. And here's some of the more mature people sitting in the back in chairs. And when we were teaching, they would listen, and they would open their Bibles, and they'd follow along wherever we were. Of course, we had to have everything translated into Telugu. But sweet kids, wonderful people. Here's Greg Mock. He's a kidney doctor in Searcy. He went with us. He'd been several other times. Here's the guy on the left is our host. His name is Cube. He has 3 R names, and years ago, Scott Harris said, you just ought to be called Cube. It's like R to the 3rd power. Anyway, he calls himself Cube. But anyway, so while we were there, we got to see temples. So how many gods do we serve, by the way? 1. How many gods do they serve? Many, 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 many. And here's some of the temples that we would see. Some are no bigger than this table right here. Some are really old and colorful. Here's one that we saw in person. Hundreds of years old, much older than our country. Why are these cattle in the street? They're sacred. What's that concept called over there? Oh, you get candy later. Don't let me forget. Reincarnation. My wife said, make sure nobody's a diabetic when you pass out this candy. Her dad is, so anyway. Yes, that may be somebody's uncle or aunt. And when they walk around on the paved streets, they get arthritis very quickly. It's kind of sad. Oh, and here's their favorite mode of transportation. They get on these mopeds, and that's a family of 4, all on this one little bitty. I guess it's not an official motorcycle. There's another auto rickshaw. While we were there, Cube said, "Would you like to go to a leper colony?" I thought, well, yes. And there's one right there by where they live, and they visit it once a week. And here's a man who has leprosy. And if you know about leprosy, and I'm not a doctor, but it affects your extremities. That disease makes it where you can't feel pain. You think pain is a terrible thing. Pain is a good thing. And so if you can't feel things, you might sprain your ankle and not realize you did. You might have a sore here and you wouldn't know it. So your extremities would wear out. So here's the leper colony. And here we are. We're passing out blankets. I don't know if you can see it, but this guy right here, his hand, you'll see a better picture. Yeah, you see his hand right here and here. I mean, his fingers are kind of worn down. So we passed out blankets. Here is also even a better picture of his hand. These are sweet people, and now leprosy can be cured. It takes some time and several rounds of medicine. So the church, the Southside Church of Christ, not here, but over there in Pulapali, brings drinking water to this area every week. And here's ladies bringing their buckets. They come and they fill them up. They take them back home. Here's our host family, Cube and Vicky, wonderful people. And she fed us every day. So what is this? It's a baptistry. I don't know I can't read Telugu, but I can read that. It is a baptistry. And we still do a Zoom meeting. We've done this for several years. Every Tuesday night at 10 o'clock our time, we have a Zoom meeting with Cube and these elders and preachers that come. And one of us, I got to lead the session last Tuesday night. So we're training them. And he's, so we say a little bit, he translates. Say a little bit more, he translates. So he sent us this picture a while back. These are 4 teenagers being baptized in that river. I don't know who this is, but I took his picture. He's either a preacher or elder while we rode there, and I thought, is it worth going halfway around the world for just one person? And it's literally halfway around the world. And the answer is yes, absolutely. Now, let me tell you what we're doing at Truth for Today for people like the folks in India, okay? 3 things. The first thing, we're trying to develop preachers. And these are national preachers. We have a list of 31,000, not missionaries, but people who live in these countries. And Truth for Today sends them these preacher periodicals once a month. 2/3 of them go to one special country. What country do you think it is? Don't let the picture fool you. No guesses? Come on, people. What's the largest populated country in the world? India. Most of them go to India. There are a lot of Christian. The dominant people, that was a trick question, is Hindu, but there are some Christians in India. So they get these preacher periodicals. Some of them have resources, but a lot don't. So when they get something like this, they hang on to it. They want to keep it. I don't know what language that is, but it's a great resource. And if you were going to ask one of these preachers, what is the number one thing you need? Is it auditoriums? Is it sound systems? Is it air conditioning and all that? They'd say, well, those are good things, but what we need are resources. We need resources. So that's what we send them, developing preachers. The second thing we're trying to do is develop teachers. And I think, I may be wrong, but I think those red books are the commentaries. Scott, if you could turn around and look and see if it says Truth for Today. They are, okay. Well, I brought what I think is our number one, and that's The Life of Christ by David Roper. And this book, these 2 volumes, it's just a commentary on Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, kind of a synoptic gospel commentary. And our strategy here is to take 3/10 of the world every year, and we focus on those countries. Last year, China was one of the ones we focused on, but this year I think it's Brazil, and I think India may be part of it. And one of the employees at Truth for Today focuses on identifying contacts there, people we know. We translate this into the language like Portuguese in Brazil, and he mails them over to India. And here's the idea. This is what we call a teacher box. When I came a year ago, I probably shared this. Some of you have been teachers, but if you want to be a teacher and you just need some resources and you get a hold of this, this has the volume 1 and 2, commentary of David Roper, a book called How to Teach the Life of Christ. It's got a book that is wonderful. It's called The Into the Abundant Life. It's really how to become a Christian. It's got a copy of the New Testament in the back. But all kind of short articles on how to become a Christian, what to do once you're a Christian, even how to prepare the Lord's Supper, how to make unleavened bread, how to make, juice. If you don't have grapes, you can smash raisins and make, fruit of the vine. So anyway, this book, all these books together, equip someone to share the gospel. I've got a Bible study Wednesday, typically. We meet at the Harding Library, and there's 3 adult Chinese Christians that were born in China. Now they're over here. One works at Harding. One's a surgeon going through getting a degree in Bible and would go back to China to teach. Another is a lady who has kids. And anyway, we use the Life of Christ commentary. We read about 20 pages. I ask them questions, and we're learning about the life of Jesus through that book. Some people have led people to the Lord through that commentary. Here's the warehouse at Truth for Today. Here's inside it, and you can tell a lot of books going out, but some of those are teacher boxes. The third thing we're trying to do is develop students. So Eddie Clower has built courses, now about 1,500 courses when you include all the languages, 23 languages. You can go right now if you want on your phone, throughthescriptures.com. And when you go to throughthescriptures.com, you can sign up and you can take a course that Truth for Today offers. It costs, for Americans, it costs $35 each course. You can do it on Life of Christ, you can do it on Revelation, Romans, whatever. Any book of the Bible where we have a commentary. And you're sent sections of the commentary through the internet. You study it, you take a test, you keep going and going. When you're finished, you're sent the whole commentary online, plus you get one sent to you through the mail. So people all over the world are gathering together to study, to use these courses to learn more about the Bible. Now, I said China was one of the places that we focused on last year. And this is something I did for Truth for Today. We want every country to get the Life of Christ commentary. Typically, we would translate the Life of Christ commentary into simplified Chinese, and you can go to wordforchina.com and you'll see a translated volume 1 and 2 into simplified Chinese. I can't read it, but anyway, do you think China will let us send them any religious material? You're correct. They will not. Guess where all of our commentaries are printed? In China, because it's less expensive. But they won't let us send. So what we've done, again, we've put this commentary in a form where missionaries and others, I'd say, hey, go to wordforchina.com and you can download this commentary. We can't just email it over there to them because the government's looking over the shoulder of those emails. But that's how we're trying to get it into China. Simplified Chinese. That took several years to translate that. So we're trying to develop preachers and teachers and students, and that's really an emphasis we have it. And we're trying to raise money, and I appreciate you guys gave last year when I came, and I so much appreciate that. Eddie Clower goes out on Sunday mornings typically, goes out all over the state. He goes into Oklahoma sometimes. To raise money, we have to constantly try. Some people have put Truth for Today in their will. So there's a basket back there right behind the smart couple that got both answers. Here's the commentaries. I want to mention this lady, Tatiana Prystupa. She has her doctorate degree in cross-cultural communication. She has one of her sons and her husband are on the front line of this war in Ukraine. She translated volume 1 and 2 of Life of Christ into the Ukrainian language. Took her several years. She's really close to Eddie and Susan Clower. When they have a Zoom meeting with her, she reminds them and asks them to keep praying for the people, for the Christians in Ukraine. Sometimes I don't hear much about the war in Ukraine on the news anymore, but it's still going on. And the Christians still need God's help and strength. I like to look at the picture of the world. You know, I've been watching the Olympics. I don't know if you have, but I love the Olympics because it's such a happy time and such excitement and that kind of thing. But this picture reminds me we have work to do. We just have work to do here, but all over the world. There's a few different organizations that have a worldwide reach to them. There's a worldwide radio ministry. I can't remember the name of it. That's one. But Truth for Today certainly is. And again, I just want to remind you, 29% of the world will never, unless things change, 29% of the world will never hear about Jesus. They'll never own a Bible. So we need to do something. I got to thinking, if we had a group of very poor children in a certain country outside of the United States, and we went to them and we said, we have the cure for hepatitis B. We have the cure for measles. We have the medicine for all these things. But we've decided we're going to keep those things to ourselves, just for our kids, back in the United States. Good luck. Wouldn't you feel pretty bad about that? I mean, I would. I feel even bad even talking about that hypothetical situation. But what do these children really need? They need medicine, but what do they really need? They need Jesus more than anything else. They need Jesus. So at Truth for Today, we're trying to do that. We're trying to help people come to know Jesus by supporting these preachers, by developing teachers. See, the idea is if we send out 5,000 teacher boxes to a country, that's probably going to be 5,000 new Christians that are converted. We're trying to develop students with these classes that you can go to throughthescriptures.com. You could form some classes right here. That's what we're trying to do. So my encouragement is that you be a prayer partner. I used to list that last, but I put it at the top now because God hears our prayers. I have seen examples of that in my own life and in the lives of other Christians. Please pray for this effort. Your financial support. Some churches are supporting Truth for Today, and you could even invest in the commentaries. So again, I want to show you that as a way of kind of concluding. But before we sing an invitation song, I want to show you one of my favorite passages. It's in Romans chapter 5, verses 6 through 8. Paul said, "You see, at just the right time, when we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. Very rarely will anyone die for a righteous man, though for a good man someone might possibly dare to die. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." God didn't wait till we were good enough to send Jesus to the earth to be the sacrifice for our sins. He decided ahead of time. That's how much he loves us. We're going to sing a song, and this song is a good time to kind of analyze your relationship with God and think about it. And if I'm like you, I've sat through thousands of invitation songs. And they're good, but they're not good unless we really heartfelt thoughts and an evaluation of how are we doing with God. And we may need to respond by talking with someone in the church, by praying with somebody, by confessing sin, whatever that need is. I want to encourage you to figure out what you can do to respond to the Lord. If you want to do it publicly, come on down while we stand and while we sing.
There's a fountain free just for you and me. Let us haste, oh, haste to its brink. 'Tis the fount of love from the source above, and he bids us all freely drink. Will you come to the fountain free? Will you come? 'Tis for you and me, thirsty soul. Hear the welcome call. 'Tis a fountain open for all. There's a living stream with a crystal gleam from the throne of life. Now it flows while the waters roll. Let the weary soul hear the call that forth freely goes. Will you come to the fountain free? Will you come? 'Tis for you and me, thirsty soul. Hear the welcome call. 'Tis a fountain open for all. There's a living well, and its waters swell, and eternal life they can give. And we joyful sing every spring, oh spring, as we haste to drink and to live. Will you come to the fountain free? Will you come? 'Tis for you and me, thirsty soul. Hear the welcome call. 'Tis a fountain open for all. There's a rock that's cleft, and no soul is left that may not its pure water share. 'Tis for you and me, and its stream I see. Let us hasten joyfully there. Will you come to the fountain free? Will you come? 'Tis for you and me, thirsty soul. Hear the welcome call. 'Tis a fountain open for all.